Well, good morning, everybody. Good afternoon, whatever it is. Hope everybody's having an amazing day. And it's Amazon Prime Day. So I figured it would be a good day to go look and see exactly what's going on Amazon and what we can use for our gardens to make it work. So, a little bit cheaper. This here is our page that we run through the Backyard Gardens podcast, and um, it's all the different products that we use. So we've used these, we continue to use these, we've tested them, so we know what we do and don't like. Um, Hope everybody can find something useful out of it. Good morning, Dan Lowe Music. How's everything with you? So I was just going to go through it, see what we can get, and then go from there. We've got a bunch of different categories. So the link from this is probably not in the description yet, but it will be when we're done. So just be sure to check that out if you'd like. But Amazon Prime Day is an amazing day. Get some good stuff. So let's go through here and check out what's on the irrigation tab. Oh man, look at that. 50% off almost on this Orbit timer. So this is the timer that I prefer to use. Super simple, nothing major. So definitely try to, if you can pick one of those up, do that for sure. That's a really good deal. Actually, I might buy one of those for myself. Who can't have another nozzle? I mean, come on, really? And then a repair kit, actually. So if you get a repair kit and you want it to last, it's really good if you get it and it continues to last. So you can buy plastic ones really cheap, but these brass ones, they're the way to go. You cut a hose, bam, you put it on there. This is a really good deal right here. So I would definitely try and, if you were in the market or you wanted to prepare yourself, pick something up like that. These are for like splicing the hose together. Let's click on it and see. Yep, so like you cut your hose in half, and then you can put it back together. So that's really good for that one. And these are for end repairs, so you want to definitely make sure that you can get that, but it's not on deal, so let's not worry about that today. So that's really all there is for irrigation. I'm surprised none of those sprinklers and stuff are on sale. Geez, don't they know it's summertime? Oh, look at here. Bingo, bango. So this is our temperatures list, and these are the things that I use in my garden. So I use this thermometer sensor, which is Wi-Fi. So it goes through, you can read it through your app on your phone, and it's cheap. Well, today it's even cheaper. It's $29. So that's a really good one, and it's always updating. So in reverse to, which I saw was on sale, this one is much smaller, but it's 50% off or 40% off. But you have to manually update it, which isn't a big deal. It tells you the same data, but I wanted something that was more real time. Well, actually, I take that back. The other one, you can like check through your Wi-Fi if you're not at your house. This one, you cannot. So you have to make sure that you can, you're within range of the sensor. But this is a good sensor, and that's a damn good price. You can have a bunch of them hooked to this app too. So I definitely would recommend picking up one of those if you could. Shade cloth, I mean, yeah. So, I mean, is it not a crazy deal? But this is a 40 to 50% sunblock netting. So this is pretty good. And you got all the sizes. So let's see, the average size I would use would be, I don't know, they got a bunch of weird sizes on here, huh? 8 by 10 is like a big one. So you got to be careful what's on Prime Day. Oh boy. So yeah, so 5 by 10 would be good for my garden. Look at there, on sale. So that would be what I would cover an 8 by 4 garden bed with, would be a 5 by 10. Good morning, 54 Cal. How's it going? Danlo, I hope your appointment goes okay today. Let's see. And then you got this weather station here, which is the one I use. So I did the review on it. The company sent it to me. I would not pay $100 for it, but I would pay $88 for it. The only issue I have is the rain gauge is not perfect. It's a little bit off, but otherwise, I love this thing. It's really accurate. Otherwise, the wind is good. The temperatures are good, and what I'm seeing is the temperatures don't fluctuate if the sun's beating down on it, so it stays consistent, which is really good. I don't get 150-degree temperature readings at my house. Well, I'm glad you got the Govee in your greenhouse. I'm gonna try and say your name, Ashlebithia. Ashlebithia. Did I say that right? Good morning to you, or afternoon, wherever you may be. So, and really, when it comes down to shade cloth, I mean, obviously I'm going to say, hey, buy this one because it's on our list, but any shade cloth works. If you don't need the grommets, you can get a big roll of shade cloth and it'll be a lot cheaper. You just get a lot more, not cheaper, but you get a lot more for your money. All right, pest control comes in all shapes and sizes, as you can see. Oh, good, I nailed it. So I picked any radio to add to the list, but I use a radio out in my shed playing out at night, and it keeps the raccoon at bay. The only time I have problems with the raccoon is when I turn the radio off. So that's kind of an issue. And all of these solar lights are really good. They're motion censored. I use a different one of these, but I like this design better because it's mounted on it. If you needed like to put the light in the shade and have the panel off, like to hit the sun, then you could get a different one. But this one works really good. And again, it'll shock the animals when it lights up, and then it helps you too. So these are really good deals too. That's almost a 50% deal, 50% off. So it's plenty bright. Hello, God's Desire from the home state of North Carolina. Love it. Neem oil is on sale. That's pretty good. $6 off. I might have to pick up another bottle of that. So this stuff is really good. Look at it here. As you can see, I keep purchasing it. It's really good because it's cold pressed, meaning if it's not warm, it solidifies. So you have to keep it warm, but it's pure neem oil, so it works really good. And this big bottle will last you about a year, maybe a little bit more than a year, depending how much you use it. So definitely, I might have to pick up. Oh, and then you can get another. Oh no, I don't subscribe and say anything. And then bird netting, whatever. Yeah, you can get a good deal on bird netting. A sprayer, clutch. Absolutely clutch. So I've used both of these, and I like this one a little bit better. It's a little bit more quality. It's just a 1 gallon sprayer, but you mix that. So if you had that neem oil, yeah, the affiliate link is in all the videos. So this is our store, but when this is done, I'll add it to the video for here. So you can go through. We're literally looking at my storefront right now. And for all those that are tuned in that didn't catch it, these are all the products that we use or have used in our garden that are on our shop that are on discount today for Prime Day. But what I was saying is you mix that neem oil in there with a couple squirts of soap and like dish soap, and that's good to go. So this is really good. Yeah, 19% off. I mean, look, you're only saving $2-3, but look, if you need a bunch of things, it all adds up, man. It all adds up. Yeah, if you want to buy 6 bags of diatomaceous earth, go for it. That's a lot. These little hand pumps are good too. And if you want, at some point, we can go back and I can tell you what all of these different things that we use and have used are for. It's up to you guys. But right now, I'm just trying to get through like the good deals because you gotta hurry, act now. right? Why does this feel dangerous? I'm curious. So there's another temperature sensor. Okay. Grow lights are on sale. So this is $12 off. Um, it's not a bad deal. I bet. So this is my entire seed starting setup. You've got 4 shelf storages. So what I do is I have my lights set up on the top of these. I hope you can see my pointers. My lights set up on the top of these going down, and then $15 off for that. If you wanted to do a smaller one, you could. And these are 4 foot, I believe, and these lights are 4 foot. So it works out really good. You can get a pretty good deal on that. And then you can build out the rest of it the way you want it. And also the heat mats, $4 off of 2 heat mats. That's a pretty good deal too. So I definitely would take advantage of that if you were looking into getting a seed starting or something like that. Very, very good. I wish my Osmocote was on sale. I need to get some more of that. I use these fans to clip on, but I bet you could find something on there that's clip on that's a little bit cheaper. I guarantee you nothing for fertilizers on sale. What do you know? What do you know? Jerks. Sucks to be them. Ah, dangerous for your wallet. Yeah. So these are just tools for the garden. You can get yourself some grow bags if you want. I'm, you know, I've done a video about this and it is not on sale, but I highly, highly recommend this cedar right here. If it was on sale, I'd buy 2 more of them. I love them. They last, so there's no reason for me to buy more, but this is a good one. Definitely use it. I've done videos on it in the past, so if you like, check it out for sure. Yeah. Well, that's sad that there's nothing in there. Nothing useful, like, well, if you need a little pot, okay. This is all like herb making stuff. Nothing there. Books, books, books. Come on, man. Why don't they ever have books on sale? So I definitely, on the side note, recommend everybody getting some books. So I know you don't think that you need a cedar, but I use mine. Let me just paint the picture for you. Um, you got to plant carrots, and you got to put a couple seeds in, and you're on your knees doing it, or you could just stand up and drag that thing back. Or you want a direct seed like spinach. I use it for spinach. I use it a lot in the fall and the early spring, so that works really well. Yeah, nothing on the preserving side either. I can't believe that, man. It makes sense though because this is not a the type of place that you would do. You want electronics or something like that's what everybody wants, not this good old fashioned never goes wrong stuff. So yeah, that's the sales. Let's see what's going on. Let me just check Beekeep. I know not a lot of people care. Eh, eh, okay. So you guys been shopping for anything? I figured that I would look at this for a little bit and then just kind of talk to you guys. I haven't been on live in a while, so anything like that. Shoot away, shoot away. I'm a little upset that they don't have more stuff on sale. Yeah, dehydrators are hard to get on sale though. I don't know. You envision a lot of people buying dehydrators? I mean, I don't imagine they sell out a lot. We don't really use ours that much. This kind of stuff here, though, I like having this on hand. So anytime I can see it on sale, this is, big time sale. So I'm gonna pick up some of these. I think I don't make any money when I buy it off my own store though, which is stupid. But yeah, I'll try and drop this Amazon list in. Um, Let me see. Can I do it without messing everything up? Here's a little bit of behind the scenes business. Oh, it looks weird. Hold on. Trying to get back to you guys. I'm not very good at this program. Okay. How's that? Is that better? Yeah, there's some definite books on there about dehydrating and preserving and stuff like that. And I mean, that's how I learned is by doing that. So I think that's a really good way to stay on top of it and better yourself. But I've read a lot of those books, and I keep them as references, so I don't read them all the time, but I do read them intermittently. Yeah, natural herb remedy books. I've actually got one that somebody gave me from the 70s that I used. That's pretty good. And another place that I learned a lot from for natural herb remedies was it's an old channel. I don't think they upload much anymore, but it's the bulk herb store. She was really good and had a bunch of like basic recipes that you could get into. So I really enjoyed that. Yeah, 54. I'm waiting for a fertilizer to go on sale too, but it never ever does. So I usually have to I usually stock up in the middle of winter is what I do. I've never heard of Rosemary Gladstar. Yeah, the Amazon Prime Day gets very expensive for me as well. So I already spent a bunch of money, but I talked to a guy. Um, he builds boats, and he was telling me that he buys everything for his budget on Black Friday for the year, all his tools, all his materials, everything all at once. And so that's kind of what I'm trying to do is take advantage. Like this day comes up, get a lot. Black Friday is obviously going to be a lot, and then just try to like hold off for the rest of the year unless I really need something. I've got a book, Danlo, that's huge. I don't know if it's in that list. Um, Let me double check real quick. Yeah, I don't have it on this list. I'll have to get it and add it on in the future. Let me get back to you guys. I can't see anything. It's a book. I mean, it's thick, and it tells you everything you need to know, from canning to growing to harvesting meat to cleaning animals, cooking, wild game, herbal remedies, all kinds of stuff. I've got it, and it is huge. I mean, I don't know how old you guys are, but do you guys remember the phone book? Remember those thin pages that they had? It's like printed on that because it's so big. It's crazy. Yeah, it's funny. I'm just gonna say Ash so I don't mess up. So, what is that? One of the companies that does chicken feed. they keep asking me to do videos about chicken food, but my channel is not really designed around chicken food. They were like, "Yeah, we'll give you a free bag," but I just go to like Tractor Supply, and it's been on sale recently. I can get $2 off, which is good. Yeah, prank calling people. Yeah, I remember just like sitting there with the phone book and closing my eyes and pointing, and that was the poor person that was going to get the phone call. I'm glad phone books aren't around anymore. We get enough junk calls, anyways. So, does anybody remember, anybody other than Danlo remember phone books at all? This is when we find out how old the viewers are and myself. There you go. There's a couple people that remember phone books. Hey, V. Yeah. V kind of missed it. We were doing all of the deals on the Amazon shop that I've got below that you could use. So I'll put the link in afterwards. I can't figure out how to do it while everything's going on. I should have thought ahead, but I'll add the link to that, and that will help support this platform and also the podcast as well. If you guys want to check that out. Well, Homestead Imagination sounds like you have a birthday coming up. So happy birthday, whenever it may be. So you're old enough to remember phone books, though. Yeah, they were good for a couple things. They were good for prank calling, sitting on, driving in a car if you were too short, and hitting people with them. They were all good. That's what they were for. But yeah, as far as like garden books go, getting back onto the subject, I think it's a great way to kind of further your education in gardening. I mean, YouTube's great, but I'm going to be honest, and I'm sure, oh, happy birthday on Saturday, V. Um, you can find a lot of woo woo on YouTube. And I'm sure there's people that are on my channel that think that some of the stuff I do is woo woo, and that's cool. But it's good to get that base knowledge. And that's kind of where I try to sink most of my gardening in. Hold up. So you both have the same birthday. That's pretty cool. Happy birthday to both of you. Yeah, my son, I showed him a rotary phone and he was like, "What is that?" And I was like, "It's a phone." He's like, "No, it's not." But I'll tell you this, he can figure out how to use it faster than he can figure out how to use a smartphone. Just saying. So where else, other than like Prime Day, where else do you guys find deals on stuff like that? On like gardening stuff? Better yet, what time of year? Let's put it that way. Well, I'm glad you find a lot of use out of this channel, and I try to, but I mean, that's what I try to tell everybody is like a lot of my knowledge came out of books. So I use those, as my anchor. Marketplace is a good place too. I've seen some people sell some rotten fertilizer on there though. Last time I went to go get a bag, somebody was moving and it had gone bad. So be careful of that. And then I got a bag one time that was actually weed killer. So they had mixed them together for some reason. Don't really know what that was about. Anybody have any questions about gardening or anything like that? I've never tried estate sales. That might be actually a good place, especially to get some like hand tools and stuff like that, yard tools. I think that'd be a really good place. Yeah, Danlo, I buy all of my fruit trees in the fall for two reasons. One, they're on sale, and two, fall is the best time to plant all perennials, including trees, if you get them in early enough so they can start to get established. I was reading an article, and I've said this on the channel before, um, that I'll get to you in a second, V. That what New York does is they started doing all of their perennial plantings in the fall because the way that it was, they deemed it is over the fall and the winter that the perennials would get their roots more comfortable. So they actually speed up the growth in the spring and they kind of hit the ground running. So that's when I do a lot of that planting. I don't even do it in the spring anymore. I just kind of hung it up. I've got enough to do in the spring. I start garlic in November, V. So that's when I put my garlic in the ground. I grow a short neck variety, so it has to have a chill period. And just as insurance, so we don't, if we don't get that chill period, which is a consistency of temperatures below 40, I put it in the refrigerator about mid August, no, mid September, and then I'll run it all the way through. And around the first week of November, I'll plant my garlic. Oh, a 40-pound bag for $9. I'm gonna have to check that out. Yeah, especially with some 10, 10, 10. That's the good stuff. Which, if you guys are new to all of this stuff, the fertilizing 10, 10, 10 is the easiest way to get into it. Ash, what did they say when you told them you wanted the barrel of crap? I bet they were happy somebody actually wanted it. Yeah, so like right now, I'm actually starting to run low on fertilizer. I think I can stretch it until my bulk fall planting, but I will have to upgrade after that. I think I go through about 40 pounds of fertilizer roughly a year. I think I go through, and I'm not real picky about the brand either. Like I said, on that Amazon store, it has all the brands that I use regularly, but I'll use anything. I really try for the past 10 years. I've only used organic, but again, I will go outside of that and use an inorganic fertilizer if I have to. So I'm not hung up on that by any stretch of the imagination, but that's just my preference. So, but yeah, anything 40-pound bag for $9, I'd buy two or three of those probably because that would two bags would get me well through an entire year of heavy fertilizing. So I'll try and stick with that. And I wish that they had sprinklers on sale, man. It's, sprinklers and hoses. Those are two things that just I have to keep changing. I don't use sprinklers much anymore, but they all broke. So I don't know. They're all just kind of junk when it comes down to it. So yeah, well that's it for everything. Like I said, if you guys don't have any questions or anything, I just wanted to show you guys the deals real quick. Get in touch with everybody. It's been a little while since I've been live, so I'm glad you guys showed up. I'll give it about 5 more minutes, and if nobody has anything, Then we're gonna sign off. It's a hot day outside, so I think it was last I checked 94 degrees outside. So V asked what the fertilizer I prefer. Well, here, let me see if I can fire this thing back up, and I'll show you because I use two. Let's see here. Can you guys see my screen? There we go. Okay, so I use this right here. This is my granular I use. It's pretty basic. It's a well balanced. It's a 344. So I'll use that. Um, and then I actually don't use this anymore. I use alfalfa pellets from uh, Tractor Supply. So I put that down just as like, again, it's like an insurance policy. As it breaks down, it will add nitrogen into very slowly into it. And then I use this Epsoma right here, this blood meal. Actually, I don't use Epsoma and Espoma. I keep saying it wrong. I don't use this anymore. It's pure nitrogen. I use a different brand that I can get locally cheaper, but I use blood meal. And then the big one that I use that's not on here is I use this in my drip system. And if you can't use it in your drip system, then you can use it in you could just water with it like foiler feed. This is a really good one. It's 332, so it's a little bit stronger. Let me go ahead and I'll add this to the list as well. But remember this, it's a 322 NPK. And so if we go back, think. So 332 versus a 231. So it's actually higher nitrogen than the Neptune's Harvest. So that's the one I like to use. I know people have been asking me to add it, so let me add it real quick. So that's in there for you guys if you want to use it. I prefer it over Neptune's Harvest, but I'll use either one, and I'll even use the other ones. Um, and then I've used other stuff as well, but those are typically what I go by. And I've also used every once in a while I'll put bone meal in, and I think typically when I buy bone meal, it is the I think it's the Espoma. I think I said it right that time. Oh, that's a good good patch to plant and a good thing to do with your produce. 54. I like that. Didn't you say it was really hot in where you are right now? I pulled off four Seminole pumpkins yesterday, and I think I'll probably get four more by the end of the week. So we're getting a lot of Seminole pumpkins right now. It's been kind of crazy. And actually, before we close this out, is there anything that you guys are having issues with in your garden? Because I mean, I'm curious of like what problems people are having in their garden this year. I'm having my own issues as every summer I do. Most of mine is coming from the heat and the drought that we've been having, but hopefully it will be breaking sooner than later. So we'll see how that goes. And is anybody doing giant pumpkins? Anything like that? I've always wanted to try that, but I don't know if I want to put the effort into it. That might be a good one for you, 54, is just do like a big giant pumpkin and then have everybody carve one jack-o'-lantern out of it. That might be pretty fun. Earwigs, huh? I used to get those a lot in lettuce. Have you tried neem oil on them? That may help with that. Let's see. Let me ask the doctor here. Says a lot of people, it says here, are treating for trapping earwigs. So that may be a good one. You know what else? How I originally got rid of earwigs is I made sure around my garden that I cut the grass real low, and that actually kept all of them. They didn't have anywhere to hide, so I did a lot of that too. Yeah, strong dust winds and heat will be an issue. Ash, if you're getting splitting tomatoes, um, try it's splitting isn't necessarily from too much water. It's from inconsistent water sometimes. So you want to try and balance that out. And if you're getting too much, just stop watering altogether. That'll help. And if your cucumbers are like narrow at the bottom but regular up at top, that's generally a poor pollination, is all that is. Well, Danlo, I hope that works out for you. I hope that you can get back out there, and I'm sorry you're having to go through that. Yeah, if you haven't done anything LP, I would definitely jump on it and give it hell. In that list, here I'll show you. Let me read through these. I'll get back to that one. Yeah, the no rain is an issue. 54. Kathy, if you're getting end blossom rot, try to add calcium to your soil. You can get like a calcium spray, and you can spray it on the leaves. A lot of times, what that is it's a calcium deficiency, and it won't let the plant uptake enough water, and that's why a lot of times you'll get um, blossom end rot. LP, let me show you this that I got going on here. This right here, if you can't figure out what to get, this is the natural pyrethrin. It's a from the chrysanthemum plant, and it basically is a nuclear option, is the way I look at it. It's kind of a blanket, so spray it late in the evening. But if you put that on, it will definitely take care of um, most pests, and it could very well be a good option for you. I usually try. This is my last option. I've been talking in my videos recently about. I don't think it's coming up. I don't think you're seeing what I'm looking at, are you? Nope, you sure weren't. This pyrethrin right here. Um, it's. I've been talking about using neem oil and all that, but I've got so many different pests and I have so little time that I may end up just using this pyrethrin to kind of knock everything back, and then I can kind of step up to the plate to where I want to use for what I want to use it for the neem oil or the BT or something like that. But if you guys are having pest issues, you've got this pyrethrin here, which again is your all-out nuclear option. You've got this BT, which is mostly for caterpillars, so anything soft-bodied, and then your neem oil is your hard-bodied insects. so you can use all that. These are all on here, but I typically stay away from these just because I don't need to pay $40 for something when I can pay $50 and get 4 times the amount. You have to know what to use it for, and remember that these are all concentrates, so you've got to dilute them, which is where that sprayer that was on sale will really make a difference. This one right here, this Chapin. And then I'll mix the neem oil with a little bit of like this soap right here or something else. Uh, is there a calcium spray I can recommend? Let's look. I can't remember the name of it, but if I can find it. You could use this rot stop right here. What I would probably do, instead of getting something like this, real, a hand bottle, I would probably go for this. So this has, it has nitrogen in it too. Iron, calcium. Here, I'll add this into this list as well. Give me 1 second. So if you've got like pepper plants that have purple leaves or anything like that, that's a deficiency as well. That will help with that. So keep an eye out for that. That'll definitely make a difference. And anytime you have anything that looks really weird on a leaf, you can look and see what kind of deficiency it is. And if you get that CalMag, that will help with that. So you can have like calcium or magnesium deficiency or even iron. But you got to be real careful. You don't want to just start putting nutrients into your garden that you don't need. So make sure you look it up and you get it's not very common to get a lot of deficiencies. A lot of times with blossom end rot, it is a calcium deficiency, so it will benefit that plant. But otherwise, just be very careful. Garden lime. So I don't ever recommend adding lime to a garden, ever, unless you get a soil test that tells you that you need to add lime to it. So the acidity of the soil, it works in multiple ways, but it also affects the amount of water that your plants can uptake through, based on the acidity of the soil. So if you think that you're having an issue with that, I would get a soil test. I would not get a home soil test though. I tested it. I did a send-off test, and then I did one of the ones where you shake it up and you read it, and it was such a range that it wasn't really worth it. I couldn't tell if the range was so large based on the color of it that I was having a really hard time deciding if I needed to get, add lime or add sulfur to take it the other way. And then when I sent the test off, I got an exact number, which in fact did show that I needed to add some lime. But a lot of people want to just add lime to their garden every year, and that's really not recommended. It's not a good option. There's other ways to do this, and flying blindly is really not the option, because you could mess up, because you can always make it more acid, but you can't take it away as easy. So once you get out of control, you've got to try and battle it to fix it up. But if you need it, you can just add some lime. So does that make it sense? I see a lot of people that say, I just add lime every year, and that's good until it's not good. And then you've got a big issue. I'm going back in the comments to make sure I didn't miss anything. Now, 54, if you've got green pumpkins, they can just paint them. We've painted pumpkins before. It actually works pretty well. So I've never grown a jack-o'-lantern style pumpkin. It's never really worked for me. I've tried. I just, for some reason, I can't get it to fruition. Part of it, I just don't care enough. But hey, it's no problem, Danlo. Well, I hope you guys have a good day. I hope you guys are having a great gardening season. Doing some new videos. Before we go, is there any kind of videos you guys want to see in the near future? Because I'm caught up filming, and I have some time on my hands, so I can kind of brainstorm. So is there anything you guys want to see? You ladies and gentlemen want to see, excuse me? Yeah, Kathy, that garden lime things, it's a dangerous game, and it's a marketing thing too, because they put these things in the store and you walk by and you're like, "Oh, I need lime." But that's not necessarily the case. And I didn't really know a lot about this until I got a really bad soil test. Coincidentally, it was all from the wild garden, which I'm moving now, so I can get out of that. But I had a bunch of issues. I got the test. They told me what it was, and then I called them to talk to him, and he was, that's when I really started to learn more, because within a 15-minute conversation, I learned more than I could off of hours and hours of research. So that's one thing that we could definitely learn from. And when they do the test, they're smart people. They know what they're doing, so they'll tell you. Taste test, yeah. Well, so LP, the one thing that I've done in my garden this year, and I've said this in the past couple of videos, and one I just filmed today, is for some reason I subscribed to long season crops this year, and so a lot of the things I'm kind of waiting to come to fruition. So we can do that when we get these things ready. I just got my squash bugs on my Seminole pumpkin, so I'm going to be treating for those too. So, Kathy, my state does tests. I don't know where you live, but to you can look and see if your state extension service does it. There's other places that you can look. If you're going to find, there's like services online that you can use. You just got to do your research on how they want the test and what it costs. For me, it was $1 for the whole test. So I treated each individual bed like a garden. So I sent it off 11 boxes of soil for them to do, and then they gave it back to me so I could treat each bed as needed. LPS, no problem. No, I haven't really done any taste tests. I've done, and I continue to do crop variety comparisons as I plant new stuff. So we've got 2 varieties of corn. I've done a bunch about tomatoes, but I'll probably do like an updated one for the tomatoes this year, and then probably cabbage as well, because as we go into different seasons and we plant more, I'm starting to kind of narrow down the varieties that I want to do. So that should work out really well. So I'll be doing more of those, not to worry. Yeah, V, it's good to learn about seed starting. You're in Texas. What part of Texas are you in? If you've never had a fried green tomato, LP, you need to try it. 54. I would love to do surfing video, but I do that stuff on my channel and nobody watches. You'd be the only person that would watch it. Maybe I'll throw a short up or something. I've never grown the green zebra tomato either. It just doesn't appeal to me. But if you want to start seeds based on your area in Texas, wherever you may be, I don't know, you haven't replied yet, but I would say you need to get ready to start seeds within the next week or two. That's when you should start your longest season crop. So your cabbages, your broccoli should be soon, Brussels sprouts if you want them, cauliflowers, your greens, stuff like that, your kales. And then, as I come out with like I did the July video, and then when I come back and I do my August video, you're just going to be a couple weeks behind me. So all that stuff will kind of work out going down the line. But I don't just sit down and start going straight through all of my seeds at once. It's a step up process. And it's the same in spring. And so one of the big things that I see people do in spring is they sit down and they say, okay, Saturday is seed starting day, and they start everything. They start cabbage, lettuce, tomatoes, peppers, all that stuff, and it's out of whack. It's not in order. You need to start these things in an order of which they're going to be planting, and it's part of having a really good, solid plan in your garden, which is what a lot of us lack because it's kind of a fly by ear. You may have a crop fail and you got to replant, stuff like that. So it's really hard to deal with. So that moving forward, just think about what crops take the longest to grow, in which fall's easy because it's all cool season. So what crops are the longest to grow, and you start those first. And then you go and you step down and say, well, what crops don't take as long? You can harvest lettuce in half the time as cabbage, so they don't need to be in the ground as long. So you can start those a couple weeks later. And it eases the load on the gardener too. You're doing the same amount of work, but you're spreading it out over a period of time, so it works out really well. So LP, if you want to make my fried green tomato recipe is simple. You slice them, I roll them in cornstarch, and then I put Old Bay seasoning on them. We're from the coast, so we eat a lot of Old Bay. And then I just lightly pan fry them. They're not really heavily breaded, and it works out really good. And I season them pretty heavy too, so that's what I like to do. Cornstarch just doesn't leave that like real thick flour breading that you usually get. It's real small and thin, so that's what we do. You can use panko, stuff like that, but I pan fry them. You could deep fry them if you want, but I don't really deep fry much at all. I think it should do another. What I'll try and do, the closer, well, hell, thinking about it, what is it now? Today is the 16th of July. We'll probably have to I'll do a video about seed starting. I'm probably going to do a lot of videos about it to help people for fall, and then we'll do it again in spring multiple times. So we'll probably do lives. I'll try and schedule them so people can be there, and then we can try and talk through it. And then, you guys think of some questions you have and stuff like that. Homestead, I've got a fairly good tolerance. I turned the camera off for about 5 minutes and turned it back on and just dealt with it. But it is a delicious pepper. It tastes like a mango. That's why the avenue that I went was because of that pepper this year, where I planted peach peppers, lemon peppers, and mango peppers. Because I ate the mango and the lemon before, and they legit tasted, they had hints. I mean, it's not like I'm eating a mango, but it had hints of the fruit in it. So I wanted to do that, but it is fairly spicy. I grew it so I could try to make hot sauces. That's what I want to try and do. I don't know if it's going to work out, but it's not as hot as a jalapeno, but it's hot. So just remember that it's as hot as a jalapeno as you get from the grocery store, but not as hot as the jalapenos you grow at home. Because as we know, the jalapenos we grow at home are always hotter than the ones at the grocery store, which there's science behind that. But I would never eat something like a Carolina Reaper or anything like that. I'm not in that. Yeah, it's no, it's not low heat. No. So when you grow jalapeno at home, generally it's magnitudes hotter than the grocery store, I find. And that's just because we don't water as much as the farms do. So it's a stress indicator from the plant that makes it spicier. So it is on par with like a grocery store jalapeno. But if you're really into hot peppers, you'll be fine. Orange spice jalapeno, that sounds good. Yeah, you should definitely if you are interested in hot peppers. Oh yeah, then you definitely want to have a mango pepper. It's really good. What we're gonna try and do is if I can save enough seeds, we're gonna put them in the seed shop that we have through the podcast. If I can get enough seeds that will actually be pure mangoes. I don't know if that's gonna work out, but if not, we'll try and source some seeds so people can get them because they are tasty and they're very prolific. As you well know, a lot of plants that have smaller fruits are very very prolific, so it works out well. Yeah, see, I don't eat habaneros. I grew them once, and I got so many habaneros, I didn't know what to do with them, so I just tossed them. So I don't grow them anymore. I don't have anything to prove, man. I'm a middle-aged man with a family. I got nothing to prove. Hell, I grow food and raise bees for a living. That's about as unsexy of a career you can get. Yeah, they should grow good in Kentucky. I don't know. I don't know how well they will grow in the far northern reaches. What I've noticed this year, and again, this is my first year growing them, they put on fruits later than everything else. So I don't know what that means as far as production in a northern climate, but it could very well work out. I mean, you got to time it out right. You know what I mean? This is a big part of this, especially when you start getting into these special seeds that you time them out because you can't get them anywhere. So you've got to time everything out right. Did you see the ghost turn on the light behind me? It just does that. I don't. Yeah, Kathy, you said you're in Kentucky. It gets pretty hot in Kentucky, though. See, the thing is with the zones is it doesn't even really matter for vegetables. I mean, all of that's telling us is like how cold you can possibly get, but you're not growing them in the winter, so it doesn't really matter. LP, this is your first garden you've ever grown? Hi, Laura. Yeah, it's Kathy. It's probably gets plenty warm. When is your first frost date? Your first and last frost date. That's the important question. And if anybody here's a podcast listener to the Backyard Gardens podcast, we may delay the release of Thursday's episode to Friday. Um, we had an issue with the people hosting our podcast where they stole 90% of our money. So we're switching host and we want to make sure everything kicks in before we get it over there. So if you if you're a listener, then that may be the case this week. I don't know just yet. Okay. Yeah, LP. Well, you're gonna get a lot of habaneros if you're growing them. So 54, I start my peppers in January down here. You should have a plenty good season in Kentucky for the peppers, Kathy. It shouldn't be an issue. Oh, it's worked out. It just caught us by surprise. I mean, I don't know. They just take advantage of creators. That's the way of the world. That's the back end of things that people don't really see. But I don't really mind saying something about it because it's messed up. There's other words I want to use, but I try to keep it family friendly. LP, when's your last frost date? Because that's going to tell us when you should be starting the uh, the seeds. Yeah, Sean, that's the thing about the smaller peppers. Cayennes are crazy prolific. If you could create a bell pepper that produced by that and gardeners bought it, I guarantee you the grocery store would have to cut the amount they charge for bell peppers in half at minimum because it's crazy. Yeah, one of the goals for everybody and I know people are falling out, but I don't care. One of the goals for my channel and everything that I do in this space is to help everybody to get their gardens planted on time. I find that a lot of people plant too late, and we don't really understand, or start their seeds too late. We don't really understand what the plants can take. And so we want to push them, right? All right, LP, I forgot what I asked you. I've got to go back and look. So imagine you said you're starting your peppers indoors in March in Michigan, and your last frost date is the second week of May. So that's 8 weeks. And then in Michigan, it probably stays cool longer. So let's give it another 2 weeks. So that'd be 10 weeks. I would start my peppers in February if I were you. Yeah, Kathy, then you're right on par with me. Mid January is a good time to start peppers. Actually, this year, nope, I didn't. I was going to say I started them in December, but I don't think I did. Kathy, I do about the same thing. I think I'm right around the first week of May when I plant mine. Dan Lowe, I think that's my method, and pushing the boundaries is what I like to do. And I got really nervous this year when I was doing it with my broccoli. I pushed it really hard, and then I harvested 100% of my broccoli, which I've never done before. I usually get 25 to 40%. So to get them all seemed really good. Laura, they're not getting enough sunlight. Move them into more sun. That's what I did. I built that shade house, which somebody coined it. So that's what I did. Yeah, Kathy, the night temperatures really do make a difference. Makes a big difference. It allows you to, you know, even still, night temperatures. There's ways around night temperatures as well. A lot of times, like I've done in the past, is I'll have a cold low tunnel set up already, and I can just throw a cover over it if I get a freak cold. But I look for the general temperatures to be warmer. So I do agree with you there. Your silver lab sucks. Well, thank you, Sean. I appreciate it. I'm not one to blush, but you could make me blush right now. I just believe in no nonsense. This is how I do it. Do it if you want. If not, that's fine. But enjoy what you see. That's kind of how I look at it. I get a lot of people recommending me to do different methods and stuff like that, and I don't do methods. I don't like them. So LP, you're new to the channel, and I'm not. I got a couple people that have emailed me, but I do custom seed starting charts for people in their area. So if you need something like that to help you, I can do that. They are $10. If you email me in the email in the description and one of the other videos, I can do that. But you can also figure it out on your own. You don't have to do that, but it does work. I'm probably going to do a live at some point this winter. So everybody watching, take notes on your garden because I want to see you back, and we're going to have a live about what worked and didn't work. And I want everybody to participate about stuff they did wrong as far as like planting and timing and different crops and stuff like that. I think that would be really fun. Unfortunately, man, I'm just trying to get used to wearing these glasses. It sucks. Unfortunately, it doesn't really work out on YouTube. It's not as easy, but I just did what I can. You know what I mean? Like, it is what it is. I take them off. I can't read it. Now I can. I sit back. It's messed up. Yeah, organization's key. And I'm not a very organized person. If I turn the computer around, you'd probably gasp. I got grass all over me from cutting the grass earlier. But yeah, timing, planning, and executing are the three biggest issues that I think gardeners have. And when I say executing, I mean stuff like you should be doing something, but you don't get around to it. I'm sure we have all done that. All of that stuff it's really important. And the other thing too is you know when you buy a plant and then you set it down and you're done for the day and you're like, oh, I'll plant it tomorrow, and then you don't plant it for 2-3 weeks. I mean, how many times have we done that? Yeah, I try to make it so you can adjust it to your garden. I mean, one of the benefits is doing gardening as long as I have, and then talking on the podcast as long as we have in this channel. I've developed the cognizance of how different everybody's growing space is across the country, as much as I possibly can. I think, Batavia, she's my co-host. She's in Chicago. I've grown in New England. I've grown in the South longer than I did up there, but that's where I really grew a lot of food up there too. So I know the difference in the areas, and weather is a really big part of my life. Not just with this, but with surfing and hiking and diving and just everything we do. So I really pay attention to it. And there's a big, big difference in what we can all get away with in our gardens and in our spaces. And I try to make it so you can apply it to yourself. And even if it's just a simple adjustment by a couple of weeks, so that can make all the difference. Because the last thing I want to do, and I've done this many times, is I'll watch a video and I'll see somebody in Kalamazoo, Michigan, and they'll be like, hey, I'm starting my lettuce today. I'll be like, I need to start my lettuce too. Or they'll say, it's time for you to start your lettuce. And I'm like, all right, let's do this. But I'm already a month behind. So I put my lettuce out, and the next thing I know, it bolts. So that was where this came from, was years of watching YouTube and seeing the things that people say and do. And I'm not saying everybody's wrong, but it's a natural thing, because if I put on a video title, plant your lettuce today, That's what you're going to do, and you're going to click. But I can't do that because that's not fair to you as a gardener. That just you're going to have a failure at that point. I don't want that. But I also want people to recognize that it's a test. You got to learn. You got to try. You're going to have failures. You're going to have successes, and it's up to you to figure out and tweak the way you need to. Yes, shells make a big difference, LP. It does get very chaotic. So 54. If you are you using heat pads, germination mats? I don't know, heat mats. That's what it is. Are you using heat mats? Because I cut my germination time from 15 days average down to 5 days using heat mats. Hey Andrew, I'm glad you caught us live. So let me show you. There'll be a video about this, but since we're talking about it, oh boy. See, here's the problem: is I store stuff everywhere. Seeds I've saved. All right, let me get this stuff out of here. So what I do is I start my tray, and then underneath it I put my heat mat. And this is for peppers, really everything, but peppers mostly. I put peppers, the heat mat down. I water the peppers good, and then I put this on top, and that keeps the heat in for the peppers. And then at the same time, if I have to, I'll run a space heater in here, maybe for a day or two, just to kind of, if it's chilly in here, which I don't really run a lot of heat in my house. We keep it cold because we're cheap, and we just want to. I don't know, but that really speeds up the germination process. So think about that, and I'll do more videos on that over the winter. I'll be talking a lot about seed starting. LP, if you barely have flowers on your tomatoes, you're probably right on schedule. You may be a little bit late, but I've been gardening. I've had my own garden for 17 years now, roughly. So that's how long I've been gardening in my own space. And when I was a kid, my grandfather had a big garden, and I would go with. I didn't retain any knowledge from it, nothing. But I was present in the garden. Yep, that's exactly right, LP. Yeah, heat mats. I was not a believer either, and then I had a company early on send me a heat mat and say, "Hey, we want you to do a post or something about it," and it changed the way that I did it. So now I have 4 heat mats, and I just rotate it. But not everything needs a heat mat, so remember that. Yeah, I got this stupid heart icon. I can't read the bottom of take forever with heat mats. Yeah, they make a big difference because it retains the heat and it also retains the moisture. So typically, I don't have to water my peppers after I seed them for probably about 2 weeks. So that makes a big difference too. But you want to retain as much of that heat. And remember, you don't need to have light for germination for them. So you could lay a towel on top and keep them warm. You just got to be careful not to burn them up. So LP, that's a I know where you're coming from, um, and I had this discussion on the podcast a couple years ago. We were talking about it, and like I said, Batavia's in Chicago area, and so I had told her like Have you ever thought about, and this question goes out to everybody that lives in a northern tier state, have you ever thought about you could have an amazing spring garden throughout the entire summer, growing cabbages and broccolis and lettuces for most of the summer, and that's where we should be focusing growing on based on where you live. Yes, you should use a heat mat, Homestead. You absolutely should. Um, that because the soil is wet, it's going to be cooler. But once you add that heat, it makes it warmer, and then it creates the humidity around it too to help speed up germination. And the other thing too is be very careful with pepper seed, and this is why I put the perlite on top. And that was the plant that was the reason why I started using it, because I was having issues where it wasn't pushing out of the soil. And so I took that out and eliminated it completely. Man, you people with 80 degrees in your house in the wintertime, I would choke to death in there. That's crazy. Bless y'all. Yeah, V, you pick up on it each year, and the one thing I try to impress on everybody is remember what you do, and remember how you fail, and remember how you win, and that's how you build each year on this knowledge. And you're going to have hiccups. Ash, does that is that six? The cabbage doesn't stand a chance when in your garden though. That's the question I have. Like, what time frame of the year are you referring to? Kathy, if you plant them early enough, they'll head up. And then if you add a structure over it, you can extend also. LP, you're cutting it close, buddy. You should have by September 1st. You should have your plants in the ground, roughly. You may, to be honest, for some of the long season stuff, you may want to get transplants just to test out this year. It may work out better for you. Yeah, that's hot, V. No, I have not grown celery. I don't care for it. I actually, there's videos inside of videos about this, and the reason why I never have done a lot of videos about it is because I don't know how to title them because there's so many conversations in there. But it's one of the crops that I just do not care about growing. It seems too much work. I don't care for it as much. And then I was told that they're spicier than your average celery. So I just kind of moved on from it and wasn't even concerned about it at all. Yeah, my cabbages they wouldn't have made it this far. 54 is who I was talking to. Okay, Ash, when are you planting those cabbages that go straight to seed? Yep. Feed, that's a good reason. Good way to do it. Yep. LP, that's what I'm talking. I mean, that's the story across the board. And it's tough because it's, a week, 2 weeks after July 4th, and we have to talk about fall, and nobody really has ears for it because they're still going to the beach. It's hot as fire outside, and there's just so much going on in life. But preview into what I was talking about in the video that's coming out tomorrow is you you've got to get, not you specifically, but all of us need to get that out of our head and understand that we're always one season ahead of where we are right now. We're always ahead in planning and figuring out. And that's the big problem is when in the wintertime, you're sitting around on your hands, you got nothing to do. So everybody goes out and starts seeds. But in the summertime, we're also working in our gardens. So having a fall garden is really like next level gardening in my mind. So Ash, the reason why I asked about your cabbage going straight to seed is cabbage is a biennial, so it needs to grow for 2 years to go to seed. But I know there's going to be people that say, well, yeah, it's gone to seed in 1 year. The plant doesn't have a calendar like we do. What it does is it goes by temperature. So if it goes through, and I don't know the number, I don't really care about the number, but I know for a fact that if it goes through a certain amount of hot cold within a time frame, then it thinks it's been through 2 years. I often refer to where I live as a heartbreak zone. Laura can attest to that. She's been listening to me talk about it before. And that's where you'll be in spring, everything's good, bam, 90 degrees, bam, 40 degrees, bam, 85 degrees, bam, 45 degrees, and you get these wild roller coaster of temperatures. That's what tricks a plant into thinking it's been 2 years, which is why when it comes to onions, we don't plant onion sets because those are already a year old. So they're just super ready to bolt, and they're waiting to bolt at this time. Yeah, the only thing I know, V, about celery, I can't remember who asked about it originally, it may have been you, is you got to blanch the stalks while they're in the ground, and I'm not interested in that. Now I've been making videos about fall, and I will continue making them about fall, and also about what's going on now. But and I've said this to myself, and I'll say it out loud. There will be a time come about October where somebody will comment and say, "I wish I would have seen this video earlier." And it'll be in one of the older videos, like that is released in July. And it's because it's just natural, I don't want to think about fall. There's nothing I hate more than winter. Nothing. Well, there's a few things, but 54, plant on August 1st. Always give in the fall 2 weeks more sunlight. V, when are you planting your brassicas? Yeah, I hear Kentucky winter gets pretty cold. I've got some friends from Kentucky, and it's pretty cold. V, if your brassica plantings you're too late planting them, I bet. I'll wait for you to comment, and then I'll tell you what I'm thinking. But I think I see this pattern. I've done the same pattern. That's how I know. I've done it where I plant it, goes to seed, and I'm like, well, what's the point? And so then I started working on it more and more, getting tweaking that schedule down, those planting dates to where they work for me. We get, I mean, we can get into the teens, and we generally do for a couple days every year as a low. But we can be 60 degrees in the winter for a high. We can be 70. We can be 40. It's all over the place. So if you plant your brassicas in October and grow them throughout the entire winter, because I imagine what you're doing is you're planting them around spring, and that's too late in Texas. You got to plant them way earlier. So a lot of times what we do is I'll plant some of these plants now, and they'll go all the way through until we pull them up in April. Chase, I'm sorry, man. You have to watch the replay, and you'll probably have to skip a little bit to get to all the different stuff. Okay, we got a bunch of stuff coming in. Andra, I've tried to grow brassicas in the fall and never get a good harvest before frost. Plant earlier. Tell me when you plant. Don't ask me when to plant. If you've planted and not gotten a harvest, tell me when you're planting. For everybody. If you start them in the beginning of August, they should be getting in the ground around October-ish, and you should be harvesting throughout the winter. How cold does it get there? I hope you do, Homestead Imaginations. I hope you do. You know, you can, Homestead Imaginations, you can definitely do a small patch. Just do a small patch. See what you can get away with. You know, you don't have to have a full-blown garden. You're not going to see me plant my entire garden, so just do a small patch. See what you can get away with. V, if you put a low tunnel over your brassicas in the wintertime, you'll be harvesting all winter. I'm pretty sure. I mean, I know it can get cold in Texas, but you know, within that low tunnel, you'll have to manage the heat in the daytime, but you'll be able to harvest. Good for you, Kathy. I'm glad you got your seeds going. So, Andra, just let me know when you've been typically been planting. Thank you, C-Mac. I'm glad that that worked out for you. You know, I've talked to a lot of people over this year and talked a lot about this, and you are the first one that has come up and said made a big difference. I'm glad it made a difference for you. Andrew, if you're in zone 7 and you transplant, you need to be transplanting around August. You're not giving enough time before your frost date. So you can put out a cabbage plant. My hands are dirty, so I'm getting dust off of them. This big, but you have to remember the roots are this big, right? So you got to get this plant in here to get the roots this big, and then it will grow. But you've got to give it time to grow. Yeah, in the 20s, V, your brassicas with a low tunnel will do just fine. And you're saying it can be in the 20s, so that's not very cold. You can be harvesting all winter long as you get sun. Build yourself a cold frame or a low tunnel. I'll be doing mine on video. You can do it after I do mine probably, and you're going to be just fine. And you when those plants go to bolt, you're going to say, thank God they bolted because I'm tired of eating them. That's how I get. So, yeah, you definitely can. Now, if it gets too cold, there's some stuff that's going to hurt. But for the most part, you're going to be just fine. Will your cabbage be ready by August? That I don't know. I haven't seen it. Um, if you planted it, I imagine maybe today. Um, Possibly. You just got to get it in the ground. You got to give it time to get comfortable, and then if you're worried about it, cabbage can get pretty cold. You can always put a low tunnel on top of it, and it will extend the growing season for it. There's so many varieties, Crockett. I don't know if they would, there's maybe a variety that they turn purple. It could be a phosphorus, yeah, phosphorus deficiency. I'm not really sure about the stems. I would just keep eating on them and see what happens. No, Andrea, you should definitely, if you have your cabbage in the ground, let me make sure I'm talking. Hold on, let me go back and read. Yeah, you usually transplant around September. Um, yeah, you should definitely add shade. So what I'll do, and you're going to see me do, probably within the next week, is exactly that. I'm going to be adding shade as I seed, but even after I plant, you won't. So you'll see me add shade for seeding next week. That's my plan so far, and then once I start going into transplanting fall, you're going to see me adding a lot of shade. So that should be, pretty normal. You'll definitely see that. But what you need to understand is when to remove that shade. That's the important part. So you're trying to balance heat and sun. That's what you're trying to balance. And I'll go into that more one of the videos. I'll go into that. So on the one where I'm going to plant my parsnips, I was just talking about, I'll get into the variations of shade in more depth. Georgia collards don't usually have purple stems. Actually, if they're just going straight to seed, I'd throw them in the trash. It ain't worth it. Hey, it's no problem, Crockett. I like going live. The problem is I don't always have something to talk about when I go live. Between everything that we do, sometimes my brain gets jumbled up and I can't get it out. So, but my goal is to go live more often. I don't do anything on the weekends. That's my family time. So I appreciate everybody taking time out of their day. I know the middle of the day is not the best time, but this is the time that I got to work with. So I'm really glad that you guys were able to make it. And I'm gonna try and do more of these. I was gonna do some when I was canning, but I haven't done any canning yet. My raccoon that I can't get a handle of has been putting a damper in the situation, so I'll talk through my teeth about him. Kathy, it's no problem. Yeah, V, you definitely need shade. If it's that hot, you 100% need to have shade. And don't forget seeds. These are our spinach seeds. I'm excited to plant these. I'm running out of my other ones, and I actually like our Bloomdale spinach. I like that variety, so I'll get back to that. Well, you're welcome, Homestead Imaginations. Have you if you haven't listened to the Backyard Gardens podcast, it's me and my lovely co-host, Batavia the Botanical. Young Ben, we're here, and we chit chat about garden stuff, and we've got a special 4 short episode series coming out. Uh, Probably going to start next week, and then I think I'm going to release them on Tuesdays. and those are geared for fall. So all of that's going to be geared for fall. They're short 30-minute episodes for the podcast, and they're coming out, and we're gearing those directly for fall. So we're going to try and get those out as soon as we can. I was going to do it this week, but the whole shindig about the people being jerks, we had to wait a week, and I hate that. And we may actually release 2 in 1 week just to get up to speed so we can get that information out in time for everybody. Oh, if you're just now using shade cloth, I get it. I understand. And frost protection too. And I'm going to talk a lot about that this year. So as we get into fall, I will talk a lot about frost protection, like probably enough to where people will be like, I'm tired of hearing about it, but it's really important. We'll start with shade. We'll get into frost protection. And then we'll get into seed starting. And then I'll be talking a lot about planting earlier again, because that's my mission. And then we'll come back into frost protection again. So it's just kind of this vicious cycle, and I do it all because of how I do in my garden. Like, I don't do anything in my garden that is like crazy special for YouTube or podcast or anything like that. I don't do anything like that for that. Everything is like what I'm doing in my garden at that time. And I may tweak a couple things to try and get some information out a little bit earlier. But again, I always try to tell everybody, like, hey, you can go this side of what I'm doing and it'll kind of work out. But, my goal is for you to learn how to do this stuff on your own. So I'm not going to tell you every single thing, but I'm to give you the tools to take it forward and then build your own knowledge as possible. Yeah, the podcast is the Backyard Gardens Podcast. We'd love to see you over there. Okay, I missed a couple here. Yeah, V, as soon as I start doing some canning, if I get some this year, I'll be doing a video about it. I've done videos in the past. You can find them on there if you want. Thank you, C-Mac. Thank you, LP. The 23rd, which is Tuesday, Kathy will be here. Well, maybe I'll have to be here too. And me too, V. We should all be back on the 23rd. Let's put it in the calendar. Oh, that's Tuesday. That's in 1 week. I'll be here. All right. 23rd. What do you want to talk about on the 23rd before we go? Tell me and we'll talk about it. I'm using this thing and I can't do polls. I need to get out of that. I got to figure out a different way to do it, but we'll do this, and I'll be back on the 23rd. If you guys want to finish, like, carry on the conversation afterwards. Oh, I'm about to choke on water. We've got a Facebook group for the podcast, which, I mean, everything I do, the podcast and the YouTube channel, is like hand in hand. You guys can go over there. It's the Backyard Gardens Community Garden. And it's free, but it's just listeners of the podcast. Probably some of you viewers are there. And you guys can carry on conversations and help each other out. We built that so everybody could help each other out, and it seems to be working. I need to get in there and check on it. Okay. Beating the heat. Well, thanks, V. I have to say I can't remember who's new and who's not. So I recognize a couple people. Let me get a piece of paper and I'll write down some stuff. Damn, I'm unorganized. I got a paper, but I don't have a pen. I got a knife. Y'all want me to write it in blood? So one person wants to talk about heat, which I fully respect that conversation. That's why I'm in here today, because it's hot. I don't want to be out there. It's too hot. Yeah, Kentucky Roots, if you watch the replay, there's a period in the middle that got a little shaky. You can just skip that. We started off talking about Amazon Prime sales, and then we just ended up talking about gardening stuff. And as of right now, we're talking about the 23rd. I'll come back probably around the same time. And any topics you guys want to talk about, I was going to write down so I can start my spiel. But it usually takes a left turn, which is good. I like it. Give me 1 second. Let me get a pen. Okay. All right. We'll give you 3 more minutes. And then I got to go into some bees. So say a prayer for me because it's 96 degrees and I've got to wear an entire bee suit. It's going to be absolutely miserable. Laura, you naughty girl, you. Maybe I should do a video about that. Here it comes. That shitty fire pit. Look, I warned you before I said it, so. I hate that fire pit. You know what? I'll just get it out. I had plans for the fire pit. I had podcast episode about the fire pit where I got advice. I started on the fire pit. I walked away from the fire pit because I had other things. I planted. It failed. I put rocks on it. The weeds grew up to my head. I cut them down. I poisoned them. They still came back. I poisoned them again. They still came back. So I don't poison them anymore. I've done everything I can do, and this damn thing will not get right. So I'm just going to give it back. I'm just going to give it back to the land. I'm going to keep my fire pit there, but I'm done trying to landscape it. I'm done. I'm just giving it back. And sometimes I think that's just the best way to do it. I just don't have time to deal with it. You know what I mean? I should take you guys into the laundry room so you can see the pouch that my wife pulls everything out of my pockets. And it's seeds, all kinds of stuff. Hey, Frosty. Yeah, Laura, you're definitely keeping me on my toes. I be hating when I'm on the videos walking by it, too. I hate that spot. Ash Leonard's got the day off. We're not recording until we do this switch, so I'll try and get him in one of these days. Yeah, we've got 5.5 beehives here, and then we've got 10 beehives at up the street in the farm. We've got I started a separate channel for it, which I kind of regret doing, but it just seemed like people that were on Sandy Bottom Homestead didn't really want to watch bees, so I moved it over to Sandy Bottom Bees. And so we're in the middle of our honey harvest right now. The videos coming out I don't release videos as often on there, but Kathy, let's say 1:30. No, let's say 2 o'clock. On the 23rd, I'll be back. Put it down. I'll be back on the 23rd live. You see videos in the meantime. But we'll be back live on the 23rd at 2 o'clock. Dude, Frosty, I'm glad you got a watermelon. I don't. That wild garden is Dunsky. I'm moving it to the graveyard. All right, everybody. So it is official. I'll be back live on the 23rd. So get all your notes in order. The only topic that we got, and if you got one before we close out, shoot. But we'll talk about heat, and then whatever else you guys want to talk about. Yeah, Sean, I have seen the movie Beekeeper. It's incredibly inaccurate, but incredibly badass as well. Oh, thank you. So my B channel is very young. This is I'm going into my second year, but I've been uh, my mentor has really propelled me fast, a lot faster. He's not watching right now. A lot faster than I really wanted to. As far as knowledge, it's been hard for me to digest, but we've been doing pretty good. We've gotten 200 pounds of honey this year. It's not bad. Yep, the sun's brutal. So we'll be talking about that on the 23rd. Open pollinated tomato. Needs something with some disease resistance. You know, my favorite tomato is Roma tomato. Video coming on that too. We got somebody that wants to talk about irrigation. Diseases and pests for fall. Let's do that on another day, Andra. I'm gonna do some videos about that though coming up real soon, but we'll definitely I can do. I'll probably, since I'm on a mission to do more lives, I'll probably start the beginning of the season with stuff like that for lives, and there'll be a complimentary video to go with it. But I feel like the lives are more personal, and it can help right away with somebody that has an issue or something like that. And, you know, the open discussion, you usually get more than what's coming out of the top of my head. So that should work out. All right, everybody. V put the time and date in there. I got to remember to do it. So after I get off here, I'll put it in my phone because my computer one doesn't help me. And I will see you guys live Tuesday at 1400 hours. If you don't know what that is, figure it out. But until then, everybody, have a good day. Have fun in your gardens. Don't work too hard out there. Stay cool and drink water. And we'll see you soon.